London in the mid-19th century was a marvel of the modern world. It was a sprawling, heaving metropolis, the beating heart of a global empire and the white-hot center of the Industrial Revolution. But beneath the veneer of progress and prosperity, a darker reality festered. The city was choking on its own success. Its streets were a labyrinth of narrow, winding alleys, packed tight with humanity. Millions of people lived piled on top of one another, their homes often little more than damp, lightless rooms. The air itself felt heavy, thick with the black smoke that billowed from countless factory chimneys and the foul odors rising from the River Thames. The Thames had become little more than an open sewer for a city of 2 million souls. This was a world defined by filth. Household waste, from rotting food to human excrement, was often tossed directly into the streets or collected in overflowing cesspools located in the basements of buildings. In the final sweltering days of August 1854, something terrible returned to the London neighbourhood of Soho. It began subtly with a few scattered cases of stomach distress, but within days it exploded into a full-blown nightmare. The disease was cholera, a scourge so terrifying it was known as the Blue Death. Its onset was shockingly swift and brutal. A perfectly healthy person could feel a slight rumbling in their stomach in the morning and be dead by nightfall. The symptoms were horrific. Now Soho's streets were filled with the sounds of death. The constant tolling of church bells, the rumble of carts carrying away the dead, and the cries of grieving families became the soundtrack of daily life. People fled the neighborhood in droves if they had the means, abandoning their homes and possessions in a desperate attempt to outrun the invisible plague. Amidst the chaos and fear stood a quiet, methodical man named Dr. John Snow. He was a respected physician and a pioneer in the field of anesthesia, having personally administered chloroform to Queen Victoria during childbirth. But Snow possessed a quality that set him apart from many of his peers, a profound and unwavering skepticism. He was not one to accept prevailing wisdom without rigorous evidence. For years he had harbored deep doubts about the miasma theory. It simply didn't add up. If disease was carried on the wind, he reasoned, then it should affect people more uniformly. Instead, cholera always began with digestive problems. The path of infection, he theorized, was not through the lungs, but through the mouth, something that contaminated the food, or more likely the water that people drank. Dr. John Snow began his investigation with a simple but powerful tool, a map of the Soho neighborhood. He knew he couldn't see the cholera agent itself, but he believed he could see its shadow. So, he set out on a grim but necessary task. He went door to door through the blighted streets, a somber figure moving through a landscape of grief. He spoke directly with the families who were reeling from their losses, offering his condolences while methodically gathering crucial data. His bedside manner was gentle, but his questions were pointed and precise. For each and every death, he recorded the exact address. He then returned to his study and made a small mark, a black bar, on his map at the location of the deceased. As the days went on and the death toll mounted, his map began to fill with these dark marks. Each one represented a human life extinguished, a family shattered. The map was becoming a visual record of the tragedy. His investigation went deeper than just addresses. He asked about their occupations, their meals, and most importantly, where they got their water. Most residents relied on communal pumps scattered throughout the neighborhood. As Dr. Snow continued to add black marks to his map, a stunning and undeniable pattern began to emerge from the chaos. The deaths were not randomly distributed throughout Soho. Instead, they were clustered. And at the very center of this constellation, like a malevolent star, was a single public water pump located on the corner of Broad Street and Cambridge Street. The vast majority of the cholera deaths had occurred within a few blocks of this specific pump. The further a home was from the Broad Street pump, the fewer deaths there were. The map was telling a story that words and theories could not. It pointed an irrefutable finger not at the air, but at the water flowing from one particular well. The pump on Broad Street was the epicenter. While the map provided a powerful visual argument, John Snow knew that a strong correlation was not enough. One of the most glaring anomalies was a large workhouse located near the pump, home to over 500 impoverished inmates, yet it had suffered almost no cholera deaths. Snow investigated and discovered the reason. The workhouse had its own private well. It did not use the contaminated public water source. This was crucial evidence, a perfect control group living in the heart of the disaster zone. Another telling anomaly was the local brewery, located right on Broad Street. Not a single one of the dozens of men who worked there had contracted cholera. The secret, Snow found, was that the brewery workers were given a daily allowance of beer. They drank malt liquor instead of water, effectively saving their lives through their occupation. Perhaps the most compelling evidence came from a widow who had died from cholera in the distant suburb of Hampstead. On the surface, her case had no connection to the Soho outbreak, but Snow investigated further. The widow had retained a fondness for the water from the Broad Street pump. She had a cart deliver a large bottle of it to her home every single day. She had drunk from that bottle just before she fell ill. Armed with his map, his statistical data, and the stories of the anomalies, Dr. John Snow went before the local authorities, the Board of Guardians of St. James's Parish. He laid out his evidence with calm, scientific clarity. He showed them the map with its damning cluster of deaths. His conclusion was simple and direct. The pump handle must be removed. On September 8, 1854, on John Snow's recommendation, the handle of the Broad Street pump was removed. The action was simple, but its effect was profound and almost immediate. The torrent of new cholera cases slowed to a trickle and then stopped altogether. The outbreak was over. Snow had been right. He had traced the outbreak to its source and with one decisive action had ended the plague of Soho. The removal of the pump handle was more than just the end of an epidemic. It was the dawn of a new era in public health. John Snow's methodical, data-driven approach became the foundational model for modern epidemiology. His insights led to massive public works projects in London and cities around the world, creating the modern sewer and sanitation systems that are essential for urban health. Snow's legacy is written in the clean water that flows from our taps and the simple, powerful idea that science, observation, and persistence can save countless lives.